Now is California Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff, chair of the House Intelligence Committee, also a member of the Gang of Eight. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us. Mark Warner told NBC News that the intelligence that he's been told by the CIA is that Vladimir Putin intends to take Kyiv. Is that what you understand as well?
Well, that is certainly a possibility. I think the intelligence community has gotten this right from the very beginning. Tragically, all too accurate in its assessment that Putin had plans to fully invade Ukraine. Those plans may include seizing Kyiv. It may include installing a puppet regime that the Kremlin controls. I do think, though, that it's going to be very difficult for Putin to sustain an occupation of the entire country. The last invasion just moved Ukraine further away from Russia, drove it into the arms of the West even more than it had been moving in that direction. This invasion will just consolidate that. And I think that Putin has bitten off more than he can chew, but it may be quite some time before he realizes that.
Let me just be clear in what Mark Warner told us. He said, I think they're interested in not in surrounding Kyiv, but taking Kyiv. He's briefed regularly by the CIA. He spoke last night to Director William Burns, but that is his assessment. That's what he says. What can you tell us about what you have been learning? Obviously, no classified information, not that you would reveal that, but what you've been learning about the situation on the ground there in Ukraine.
Well, I've been briefed as well multiple times a day, including by the director last night. And, you know, I think the reality is we have insights into Putin's planning. But, you know, as is often the case in war, those plans may go out with the firing the first bullet. So whether those plans will be adhered to, whether Putin will change course, depending on the resistance that Russian troops meet, I think is still an unknown. We are gathering intelligence every moment from the assets that we do have so that we can get a better sense of where this is all heading. But I imagine it's going to be pretty fluid. And my sense is that there are a couple directions that Putin could go. He's talked about destroying the Ukrainian military. That could be a primary objective. Or that could be just part of what he hopes to accomplish, and that he intends to fully subjugate the Ukrainian people, install his own regime, essentially reverse any remnant of the Orange Revolution, where Ukrainians threw out the pro-Kremlin figurehead they had running the country and moved the country in a westerly direction.
I want to know what your reaction is to the sanctions that President Biden announced earlier today. He said that the economic sanctions that are being imposed right now, the sanctioning of the banks, as well as more sanctions against the elite, are equal to, if not more effective, more consequential than kicking Vladimir Putin, kicking Russia out of its ability to access SWIFT, which, to be clear, we, as the United States, would need Europe to be on board with.
Well, I think the package of sanctions that the president announced is the most severe we've ever levied against Russia, and many times more devastating than anything that was implemented after their last invasion in 2014. Nevertheless, I favor going further. I favor expelling them from SWIFT. I favor imposing sanctions directly on Vladimir Putin. This is an unprecedented situation, and even though we don't generally sanction heads of state, on occasion we do, and I think it's merited here. The challenge, as I think the president alluded to, is that we want to work in concert with our allies as much as possible. And so I think we need to continue working on our European allies to move them forward with even greater sanctions on Russia. I would also favor, if push came to shove, our imposing even greater sanctions unilaterally. But it would be best if it can be done in concert with our allies.
Congressman Adam Schiff, Chairman Adam Schiff, thank you so much for being with us today. And I